Dr. Justin Ho, a pediatric infectious disease specialist. I'm a pediatric fellow now, so that's after residency, we go into fellowship and subspecialties. COVID-19 is very relevant to my subspecialty, especially in pediatrics right now. So now I'm still in UPPGA.
I just want to ask how you are, how everything has been for you.
In terms of mental health, all of us are in the same position right now. So even the past few months, in February, when we felt like this was just going to start, and then we learned about issues in China. Actually, I myself had na-foresee ko that this is eventually gonna happen when just one case of COVID positive comes in our country. Eventually, I was assigned to the Research Institute of Tropical Medicine, RITM, last March. So I was undergoing my outside rotation there. So eventually, I was called back to PGH because of this crisis. I mean, our roles and responsibilities have to be redefined again. The good thing is, I'm in the Department of Pediatrics, and we know that the pediatric population is less affected than adults. Right now, we're trying to be prepared, still undergoing a lot of adjustments. But, the good news about it is that we've underwent a lot of meetings already and modifications which are currently in place right now. So in terms of the roles of every person in the hospital, everyone has been in that denial phase na, oh no, I'm not going to function as my usual role already in the hospital. We've been adjusting more and coping more to the problems of the hospital and even to the demands of the community.
Would it be fair to say that for the most part, because you guys have been taking necessary steps, that you're okay mentally?
Of course, the fear is always there. Right now, I'm assigned to one day and to go on duty for a day in a period of 2 weeks. So it's not pretty overwhelming. I mean, as much as possible, we're allocating people to go on duty at a certain time so that less people are exposed. And then after that period of exposure, we get some period of rest for around 2 weeks. So most of us, even the nurses and healthcare personnel, I think we all want to rest, but at the same time, we need to be rested mentally, physically before coming into the hospital. So I think that reduces our fear. We know that before we come into the hospital, we're always being reminded that we should know for ourselves whether we're fit enough to go to work. The system has been in place and reduces my fear personally every day coming into PGH. And even the support of the people when I hear from my friends, from my family, that they're always trying to reach out. And so that really helps me a lot mentally. Somehow go on duty to PGH even if I know that there are a lot of patients being transferred from our wards.
How about the influx of patients? Is it getting any better or is it just getting worse?
Surprisingly, yes. Since we are a COVID referral center, we're more of focusing on patients who are severe and critical, who can be considered COVID only. PGH caters to all kinds of diseases because we have all the subspecialties. So we cannot just neglect all our non-COVID patients. That's one of the administrative issues that we're trying to answer right now. So number one, when will the outpatient services open? When will we try to start catering to non-COVID cases? We try to tap on technology, Zoom or even text, the teleprogram, where we try to contact our patients and try to inform them that if as much as possible we can give them prescriptions electronically. That's already allowed right now for certain prescription. We try to make sure that for those patients constantly following up with us, they do have some contact numbers that they can easily inform their status, especially when it's already a life-threatening emergency. Of course, we do not say no to all the life-threatening cases that we get. We accept them at the emergency room right now, whether or not we are considering COVID or not.
Speaking of that, is there still a lack of supplies in terms of PPEs or just medications needed for first line of treatment, all those kinds of things?
I'm not gonna deny that it's a problem right now. PPEs, we're having a lot of donations. That's really on the good side of it. But donated PPEs still have to be screened because we get a lot of PPEs which are not in the standard requirement for wearing. So not just that, but when you talk about the medications, some of our medications are not readily available. The quantity and supply wasn't that enough in our pharmacy. So we try to order, especially for some medications which are rarely used. We've tried to give letters or heads up to the pharmacy to order them right now. A lot of it has to be ordered and even suppliers have to be contacted.
You covered a lot of what it's like currently in the front lines. What are some difficulties you face?
Since I am an infectious disease specialist, right now I am really trying to be on the administrative side of it. Of course, when a healthcare personnel gets infected, especially in our department, they report to us. So that's one of the difficulties right now because some of them really are panicking. I mean, we have to really clarify a lot of stuff. I think the difficult side of it is like trying to let people understand, number one, not to panic, not to have fear, and always explaining to the other people. Of course, because this is an infectious disease. So of course, we have to trace who they interacted with. So that's pretty tedious on our part, trying to do the contact tracing. Aside from that, the administrative work, I think more of we're trying to find the best diagnostic and treatment for the disease right now. A lot of investigational studies have been started and clinical trials have been done. On the administrative side of it, I'm presently trying to organize the treatment regimen, especially in children. Of course, since we don't have the vaccine yet, we have to at least have our first line treatment. I mean, even the alternative treatment if the first line can't be given. So aside from that, I think pretty much more on the psychological or mental problems that we still handle every day. We try to comfort, I mean, those people, especially our residents, especially the nurses. We try to educate right now so that they are all informed of the risks and even they know how to handle a COVID patient well. A lot of it comes into the education of trying to protect yourself through wearing PPEs. That's what we're trying to emphasize right now. So don't come in the hospital when you're not ready, when you don't have any mask. A lot of infographics has been ongoing and still under construction right now so that people in the hospital will be constantly informed.
What do you think people misunderstand about the situation? A lot of people are just kind of confused with the current situation, or some don't understand why it's happening the way it is. What can you say about that to just get people to understand why it's important to stay home?
The extension of the community quarantine is important because we still need some time to really analyze if what we're getting is the true data, not just the false information that we're getting. Reportedly, we have some testing centers like our ITM, there are a lot of samples being sent, but the turnaround time right now is around 3 to 5 days. It can be even more than 5 days. So a lot of samples have been still pending. I honestly foresee that this will take more time. It can be even extended through June if we don't get the accurate numbers. If you could possibly stay home right now as much as possible. Just do the necessary adjustments, and I think it is doable.
From that, you think the best thing for us to do at this point really is to just stay home if we can?
Yes. Make the most out of your time at home. Try to always make it a habit to wear masks. Sometimes you can't afford it. You have elderly people you're with at home. You just have to take the necessary precautions and try to listen to the daily updates, the news, so that you would be aware on the necessary measures that you still need to take and practice at home.
Just to wrap everything up, I just want to ask you if there's anything you'd like to promote or ask of the public.
A lot of your donations has been really helpful to PGH. We're really thankful. We're getting an influx of, food, PPEs. We get drawings of children trying to encourage us and moral booster for us.
Okay.
So that's really a big thing that you're trying to reach out. It gives us more reason as healthcare workers to continue doing our job. When you pray for us, we also pray for you guys.
Thank you so much. This was really helpful. We're hoping it'll reach as much people as we possibly can because you said a lot of important things. We're so grateful. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. We know how busy you are.
No problem anytime.
Thank you.